session agenda meeting of December 6th to order. And we will ask everyone to please either silence or turn off their cell phones and join us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any additions or?
We have two additions, no deletions. We have a 10 o'clock request for release of road right-of-way. And we have another addition of planning commission appointment request from Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
You want to fire this up on
Oh.
We don't want to hear it.
Okay, our first item is a timed item, our public health. TPEP update.
I don't think Dan's on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jill.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
How are you guys?
Good. Good to see you.
Cold morning.
Yes.
So, I'm Jill Harlan, and I'm here to update you on TPEP. And we're not asking for money, we're just letting you know what we're doing, so it shouldn't take too long. TPEP stands for Tobacco Prevention Education Program. Beth Hadley used to do this program, and I took over when she took over as administrator. Just a few quick facts, just to remind us why this is important. 16 million Americans live with the disease caused by smoking. For every one person who dies of a cigarette or smoking death, 30 people are living with a chronic illness because of that. On average, smokers die 10 years earlier than non-smokers. Every day, 3,200 people younger than 18 start smoking. And nearly 7 out of every 10 people who do smoke really would like to quit smoking because they know that it's not healthy. We have seen in our lifetime that we no longer smoke in airplanes, and we no longer smoke in restaurants, and we no longer smoke at hospitals. When I was first a nurse, you could smoke in the hospital at the nurse's station. It was crazy. So now we see that because of organizations or the government's plan with programs like TPEP, that our environment has changed, and so people are changing and seeing that it's healthier not to smoke. So that's why we're continuing to have grants like TPEP. In Oregon, Lake County actually has a lower percentage of smoking than other counties in Oregon, which is amazing. Although Chu or Copenhagen were a much higher percentage. A sad fact that we do have is we are the highest percentage in Oregon for women that smoke during pregnancy. So that's huge. We really need to figure out what's going on there and help those ladies. And then 60% of our high school kids, 60% higher of our high school kids chew Copenhagen than in the rest of the state. So that's a huge deal for our young people. And I'll give this to you. So what we just want to let you know is just the things that our grant this year that we're working on. Lily George, do you know her up in Lake County? She works with me. And one thing that we are doing is we're going around with our little quit line cards, and we're taking them to the doctor's offices and to the dentist's office. We're actually taking them to the retailers also and asking them if we can place them where they sell tobacco. Lily's had great success with that. Everybody has said yes. I haven't even asked yet, so that's something that I get to do after the first of the year. If they don't want to, we'll be respectful of that, but if they do, then we'll go ahead and leave those cards so that people do want to quit, that they have at least one place to go. The Oregon Health Care Plan has a great plan to help people quit smoking, and we can help them figure that out too, and most insurances do, and our county does. So those are things that we can kind of help a little bit. Other ways that we want to change our environment in Lake County is We really wanna see about possibly making our city parks smoke-free. We don't know if we can go with the tobacco-free, but we would really like to start with smoke-free, especially the little kids' parks. We'd like to see that happen. There's always a huge thing about how do you enforce that. And of course, we're not gonna ask police to write tickets for that, but just having a sign out there, creating an environment where people don't want that, educating folks will help a lot, we hope. So another thing that we'll be doing is at our own programs at Public Health with WIC, who works with women who are pregnant, and with my programs through the home visiting, really try to work with the women who are smoking that are pregnant. We'll try to get them connected with the quit line. And also, there's some motivational interviewing that we're gonna be trained on to help them possibly encourage them to quit smoking, which we usually can get them to quit or decrease while they're going to WIC. And then it's a hard thing that maybe keep them from starting up again and have their baby. But those are the things that we're working on. Another thing that we're kind of talking about is here at the county. You guys we're working on the handbook at this point, trying to figure out if the county would be interested in going smoke-free. Not really thinking tobacco-free at this point, but maybe smoke-free at our campus, which might be a big challenge. And so that's kind of something to see where you guys, if you have any thoughts about that, that would be really great to hear.
Yeah, the challenge on, we're already in the building, supposed to be tobacco-free.
Okay.
Done that years ago. But the challenge with making it smoke-free on campus here is court day. And a lot of the people that come into court are, a lot of them are smokers, high stress and everything. I'm a little bit more of maybe a designated smoke area, so that, because a lot of public comes here, there's a lot of stress, whether it's a trial or it's a divorce or it's just court itself. There's quite a few of them. And that's my own individual vision and thoughts of, or visual of what I'm seeing is, if we had a place where that they could go smoke, that maybe it'd be away from where the rest of the public are. I see that one of the biggest challenges for the courthouse area right here is that there's so much public on court days that quite a few of them are smokers. If we don't have a designated place, it's going to put them out on the sidewalk, across the street, or in front of a business or something like that. So just trying to weigh out what would be the best thing to accommodate the people that have the habit.
Okay.
And still be respectful of people that don't want to be around the smoking. So that's a challenge I see here.
Okay. Well, I could actually talk to other counties and see what they've done. I know Burns has done some smoke-free things, and I could see what they've done, if they have a place, or we could kind of look around and see if there's a place here that would be appropriate. We could work on that, come up with some thoughts.
The other thing I don't know, I've heard, I don't know how successful it is, but one guy I know said that the hypnosis worked for him very well. And I know over at Klamath, there's a company or something comes in once or twice a year. Is your grant ever, does it have money enough to maybe bring somebody here and run something like that to try to help the people that have the habit to get off of it? I don't know how expensive that is, Jill, or anything, but I've heard that it's been successful. I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, I don't know either. I do know our grant doesn't have a whole lot of money in that way, but then occasionally, you get other grants that pop in that help your grant. There's also another prevention coordinator that used to be Eric Larson, that is a new lady, and she says she has some money. We've been kind of talking. She just started 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, so we could actually work together on something like that. She was going to actually look for prevention programs that she could do and bring in.
We've got Jay or Jill, perhaps he could work with our insurance provider in town as well on possible.
Our insurance providers offer smoking cessation programs. I know they won't put money toward hypnosis.
Well, I know
They have a few programs that they support that they think are proven
An improvement?
improvement to be
Well, I hear the one advertised, it's at the Running Y usually, and there's a charge for it, so it might not be, it's not only smoking, but it can be eating disorders and different things too, but maybe that isn't, that you have to pay to get them here, maybe it's just the opportunity for them to get here and people sign up and pay the fee or something like that. But anyways, just a thought.
So when you're checking on counties, how about checking with Grant County? Because their courthouse and their facility isn't exactly like ours, it's tucked away there in Canyon Creek, but it has a limited amount of space around it, so I'm sure they would have to deal with that issue of space where people could go outside of the courthouse itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Jill.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next item is a timed item at 9:30. Charlie Quaid from District Hospital. And he has, I'm assuming Denise, he's gonna be talking about some of these items, the mental health advisory member recommendation. Oh, he's not?
He's not.
Okay.
No, those are just us.
And do you know who us is? Is it
I
Commissioner?
guess it's probably me.
You? Okay.
So the mental health advisory member was faxed over from Mary at Mental Health. They would like to appoint Joel Morris to the mental health advisory board. That's about all I know.
In total, or just on that subject?
Just on that subject,
Okay.
so. You know me, I always have something to say about everything.
We have it on tomorrow's agenda. Do you have any questions about it?
I do not, application in, looks fine with me. If you just want to take some things off of the agenda, to lighten the agenda for tomorrow, this is one that.
Yeah, there won't be anyone there, so I'd like to do that.
So I'll make a motion to appoint Joel Norris to the Mental Health Advisory Board as recommended.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to appoint Joel Morris to the Mental Health Advisory Board. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, so we'll scratch that. The OHA IGA amendment number 10.
Well, it's just one of those standard things from the state. It is for additional funding in the amount of $7,982 for mobile crisis and crisis respite services for mental health.
Yeah, standard amendment.
Yeah, and this, now since we contract with, for the wellness program, they call it wellness center now, or whatever, through the hospital, that's pass-through dollars that go to them. As a mental health authority, we have to approve the amendments. Just not knowing, Mr. Chair, how many you want to take off for tomorrow or not.
I think we could take this one off, if you're okay with it. There won't be anyone there.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the 10th Amendment to Oregon Health Authority, agreement number 147793, a positive amount of $7,982.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to approve OHA IGA agreement, amendment number 10, IGA number 147793, for mental health services in the amount of $7,000, a positive amount of $7,982. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, adult corrections MOU, Klamath County. Was Jake gonna be here?
No, Jake won't be here today, but he'll be here tomorrow. This MOU, he'll be in Paisley tomorrow. He's at the LIPSI coordinator interviews today in Klamath, and Paul's done the conference. This is for the jail beds that we go to the MOU with Klamath County each year. It's the same cost. The only difference referencing this MOU, and Jake will speak more to this tomorrow. It has a little bit more flexibility on housing sex offenders and females, which is a good thing. They iron that out in Lake County, so tomorrow we'll hear the full presentation from Jake.
Great.
On that.
Well, we'll definitely need that. Before we go into a variety of, we've got no less than 15 minutes. If you don't mind, Commissioner, why don't we drop down to ordinance 104 attachment, the ATV.
Ordinance 104, the ATV ordinance. This will be the second, not hearing, the second public comment period for an amendment to ordinance 104. It's two roads in the Christmas Valley area, Old Lake Road, and then out on, it's called, I call it Sinks, but it's Frederick Street Road. By legal counsel's direction, we need to have this 2 times before the public, and tomorrow will be our second time to bring that for a public comment and decisions we made. Great.
So we'll take that up tomorrow, and we've got Darwin here. Darwin, you want to talk about the planning commission appointment?
Sure. So, we've staggered our terms so that every year we have 2 positions, except for our 7th member is all by himself in 1 of the years. And we published in the Examiner 3 consecutive weeks prior to the November planning commission meeting. At that time, we just received 1 application. It was Mike Keene's for reappointment, and then we'll continue to have it on our website and continue to try to get the word out. Received a second application with Ben Holderman. Then I sent an email just kind of polling the planning commission members, similar to what I did last year, from your guys' kind of direction to do that, and which would have been okay. And so we have just the 2 for the positions 5 and 6. Mike King would remain in position 5 on North Lake position, and then Ben Holderman would be position 6, South Lake.
Okay. And
Very simple. Planning commission, that's their recommendation to make those 2 appointments.
okay, I think we'll put that on
For tomorrow? Okay.
tomorrow. I don't know if either of them will be there, but yeah.
If you'd like either of them, I can certainly get a hold of them.
No, that's
So Michael King, this will be his second
Yep.
term.
Yep. And actually, his first term, because when we did the staggering, he wasn't able to do a full term because that we staggered it, so he's been on this, going on his 3rd year, so. Yep.
I just read his letter.
Yeah, yep.
okay. Well, we'll take that up tomorrow. We'll put it
I'm
on.
gonna stick around for a couple days over.
Okay. Kevin, how much time are you gonna need? We can stop you if you get in there. Why don't you come on out?
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
I think this is on the agenda, the Silver Lake information is on that.
Yeah, what we, as far as the order goes, it's road marker, change request, Silver Lake Road, and the fund exchange, then the East Bay grant review, however you want.
Well, we can start with Silver Lake Road. When I first started here in October, there was some discussion about emergency services and kind of miscommunication on the name of the road. And so we, and when I say we, I mean Christie did some research here to coordinate with Klamath on mileposts and their road name. And I wanted to, bring it in front of you guys to introduce. That we maybe even continue on with their mileposts from their county into ours. They run west to east currently, and we could kind of help out emergency services along with our own county planning to have some mileposts, and then we talked about that for mileposts starting on some of these paved routes, but this would be like the initial phase of it. As far as renaming it, there's Silver Lake Road, whatever the county would decide to actually rename, but having mileposts on there, if it needed to stay bare, flat road, would certainly identify location better than what we currently have. So that's what this is.
So the challenge is renaming it is that all residents on there have to change their addresses and everything. Have either one of you contacted the residents yet?
I didn't go that far with it. I truthfully was more concerned with the mileposts. I think if not knowing the area, you guys certainly do, if that was gonna be a sticking point, I wouldn't think mileposts would be. So if they wanted to keep that same name, or however the county chose to do that. If we install mileposts, it would give emergency services as well as ourselves better means of identification. Sure.
Yeah, the EMS, when they get the call, it came to us 2 times, and so I asked her to get this going. So that I'm ready for it to be changed to the same name, so the EMS, when they get called out, they know where they're going. But you or Christie's gonna have to reach out to all the
Yep.
landowners there and
Yep, we can do all that.
do all that. So you just need consensus to.
That's what I'm,
Stay-
just bringing it information
Stay with the
purposes,
process.
you know, bringing it to the commissioners so that you guys are aware of what we'd like to do. I'm not sure of the resistance or not of changing the actual name, but I wouldn't think we'd have that with the milepost. That would, for the residents there, I would want that if I was them.
Yeah. The challenge for them is all their bank accounts and all their bills.
Oh, I'm
they
sure.
have to be changed, so it's an educational thing to them. I think that that you're educating them, you're letting them know that this is for health and safety reasons for anybody and everybody on that road,
Yep.
including the residents.
So how would that work with 911? Would they just have to, once it was done, just update all their addressing for dispatch?
Keith Little's one that brings it to us every time, him and Tom Rourke. Christie, did you talk to either one of them?
I've talked to Tom, but we haven't talked to Keith yet until we.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how the whole 911 thing, who would have to be notified, but this request has been 2 times that we've been in Silver Lake.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it would go, the clerk's office rolls their property tax. I don't know who all, it's not anything that's so.
I'm gonna nod my head, they'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, just bringing it before you so that you're aware of what we'd like to do. We can make contact with all the residents and take care of the rest of the technicalities. Just wanted you to
Yep.
see the process or however.
So, is that on for any discussion tomorrow? Are you
I
gonna be?
had it on for action consideration, do you want to take it off?
Well, it sounds like it's just discussion and we're in consensus.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be up with us tomorrow? Good. Let's leave it on.
Leave it on?
Yeah. You can discuss it again.
Yeah, and I also want to touch base on the milepost issue so that we
Sure.
can start to upgrade.
Well, as Commissioner Winter said, we've had a problem before us in the fact that it will cause some issues with some of the folks to have to do that. I think, well, speaking of form, I think that's fine because this is the right thing to do long-term and we just have to bite that proverbial bullet and do it. Okay.
Secondly is just the STP fund exchange. We submitted our 514 Christmas Valley chip seal job for fund exchange of $224,435 for you guys to approve, so that I can take care of that.
Okay.
Yep. And that more than covers
Oh, yeah.
the amount, like we talked.
Yeah, so we will, Lake County will receive that, that's the amount for this calendar year.
Okay. And you have East Bay review.
Yeah, the last thing I have on here is, again, just for information purposes, I have some copies here. These are the estimates, and still working with, I had one for Ken, but still, working with Susan Ellis at Federal Highways to see what options were available to best utilize that grant and to keep the county budget in mind. So you'll see, each item of work on there, some of which we started already. We did test pits and some tree and root removal for the initial assessment of theirs to see what design work they needed for that road surface. After they analyzed what we took out of the test pits, they recommend cold in place recycling and 3 inches of HMA, or hot mix asphalt. I'm currently trying to get them to put 19 millimeter, 25 millimeter on top of the fold in place, if that's the direction that we're going, so that we, county, can chip it and that can go towards the match. So if you look on page 3, you'll see the balance without our seal coat, and you can look at page 4, you'll see the balance if we seal coat it. Total project comes to 5.1. That's her initial estimate right now.
5.1.
Yeah.
So after the dig out, they decided the base just wasn't.
Yeah, it was hard to do any of this beforehand because they needed to analyze the material that was there, so that's why it took a little bit of time. But they have that analysis now, and so that's their recommendation for that road.
It's Susan, right, that you're working with?
Susan Ellis, yeah.
Yeah, is she pretty acceptable to considering doing the chip seal on it?
She hasn't got back to me on that final, that's my last kind of pitch to her. If you look down through the actual items, we're replacing some culverts on there. We're adding 3 pipe locations to that road in areas that are, if we're gonna build a new road there, we should improve the drainage. So,
Absolutely.
and those costs, while they are costs, they go to the match of our job. So.
Great. And the total miles of that was
5.7.
5.7 miles.
Yeah, on the cover sheet, it's right there up front, 5.7 miles. From 31 to Calabar.
So really, whenever we get done, depending on the chip seal or whatever, we'll have 6 miles road that's good for many, many years.
Should be a long time, yeah.
Our investment.
I did some, just a little bit of homework here. If we ended up that we were just gonna maintain that road ourselves, to crack seal and to what I would call double seal coat application, it's gonna be close to $180,000 to get that road into, we were doing it ourselves, no grant.
Just in a
Just
reservation
Just
mode.
in a
Where
reservation.
it's at right now.
Yeah, so it's some kind of comparison for you. Let's see the process.
And this goes, runs up to the cattle road here on the Forest Line.
Yep, to the south, yeah, to the southmost cattle mark.
So we'll be able, once this is done, to work out a schedule of assessment to the Forest Service to pay for. We have a district ranger from the lake here.
Put a toll booth in or something.
Exactly, well, we can just assume that,
We'll
they have
make a toll road.
50 trucks a day.
Just send them a bill.
Yeah, and we're charging them $1.50 a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good work on that.
So those are the estimates, and like I say, our costs were historical data that we pulled out of our system, but if there's any more match that we can do naturally, I'll try to.
Find it.
Okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Chrissy.
So the work will start on this in 17 or 18.
Well, we've already started the test pits and the
Started
tree
the test.
removal and some things, yes, but the other thing that she was willing to do for us to stretch that out was to make construction even into 2018, so.
Okay, I'm just thinking when we get to budget time, that we will be a
And I'll-
cash amount plus the income.
Yeah, and I hope by then I'll be able to specifically say we need this amount in this fiscal year and this amount in the next. Not quite there yet because of, working all the final details out
Yeah.
there.
No, but this is good, I like the layout of it, thank you for doing
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Charlie, you're on, 9:30, mental health program update. Welcome.
Just stepping.
How are you today, Charlie?
Excellent, thank you. How about you?
Good, thank you.
Probably the most important thing that you should know is, and I sent you a copy of the report that we got from the health department.
Yeah.
Thing to know about this is there's several things that we have to do. Certainly we're responding to this, and the team's response was they're very pleased that we are doing all the things that we are. Their findings that they had were mostly advisory. Some things we have to work on, but their goal was to help us as much as they can. So I'd say this was a positive.
It's a good partnership on getting up to speed. Yep.
One of the big things that we have to address, that you need to address, is as you look through this, you probably won't have time to look through this, but there's a couple things that you need to know about. And I learned this more when Trace and I went to the association, Oregon Association of CMHP, Community Mental Health Plans. There is an association, I didn't know that there was one. And they meet monthly, and this was the annual meeting, and they had a good training for new CMHPs. And one of the things that they said is, as the county separates, as we have done, you need to understand that you are the LMHP, the Local Mental Health Authority. Where in the past, you were the Local Mental Health Authority and the Community Mental Health Provider. Now that you have that separation, we need to be very clear about that. And in this report, one of the things that the inspector found was we weren't clear in that understanding. So,
And when you say we, who was the we? Because we knew we were still in our health authority.
I'm not clear on what mental health, being the mental health authority,
Is-
our role is.
Yeah, okay,
and that was something that they wanted to make sure that we were clear on.
okay. Well,
This means we is you,
And-
not me.
and.
So in order to get you fully aware of your responsibility, I have an obligation to make sure you understand that. So I'm gonna provide you more information about
Yeah,
that. Second thing that you have to do is you're responsible to get, or to do a needs assessment specifically for mental health services in the county. There actually hasn't been one done, and I can't find any history of it. Turns out it's not extremely out of line. A lot of counties haven't done it. So, in our training at this orientation, a lot of it was, now we're gonna have to figure out how to do that. The CCOs have been doing a reasonably good job. In our case, Eastern Oregon CCO has been involved in doing health assessments, but has not focused specifically on mental health. So while our plan that I submitted to the health authority was the plan for the county that we prepared with the support of the CCO, but our CHIP coordinator did, it did not specifically address mental health needs for the county. So that's something we're gonna have to do. Since you're not gonna be doing that yourselves, you don't have anybody within the county to do that, we'll do that and present that to you, and if that makes sense, then you'll probably want to adopt it. That would be my recommendation. So, our CHIP coordinator, Arvinder Singh, tasked with working on that specifically. As a hospital, we have a responsibility to prepare every 3 years a health assessment for our community. That's one of our conditions of participation. All hospitals have to do that. And we do that, so we have multiple reasons why we do these health assessments. Number one, because it's our responsibility as a hospital. Number two, it's a responsibility of the CCO. Number three, now as a CMHP. Well, actually, the local mental health authority is responsible to have that. And essentially, the way it's supposed to work is you tell us what, us being the CMHP, what mental health needs are, and then you task us with preparing and providing the resources to address those. That's really how it should work. So, for all practical purposes, we'll prepare it, we'll tell you what it is, and then we'll do it. That's essentially what will happen. Okay? The other things in here, I don't think, there are things that we have to do. Again, it talks about a couple of needs that are probably not overly critical, but things that you know. Number one, we have to add more therapists. And of course, we're not the only county in Oregon that need to add more therapists. So we're all in that same boat.
So Charlie, along those lines, because in watching, say, KOBI on Medford, and they have Jackson County on there, and the other day was probably 3 weeks ago, they talked about in their mental health program the needs, and they were currently short like 22 therapists. So how's that competition work? What kind of strategies are we able to use for selling for that high need of therapists and the shortage of them, that Lake County is the place to be?
That's the same problem we have and the same strategy we try to use on recruiting any healthcare practitioner. We tell them how great of a community we are, and they look at Burns, and they look at Wallowa, and they look at Baker, and they look at Josephine, and they look at, we compete with every
Sure.
What is it that makes anybody want to come here? If we tell them it's because of our great outdoors, they roll their eyes. Everybody knows that, but that doesn't make us necessarily better than any place else in Oregon, let alone Nevada or California or Washington. So we talk about the quality of the people that we have that we can work with. We talk about the infrastructure. And we're barely getting going on that, and that is integrating mental health services with physical health services. It's a relatively new concept, something that therapists have asked a long time. Physical health has not been terribly keen on that. And that's probably largely because mental health, because of its nature, is by and large not an acute condition, but rather a chronic condition. And physical health does really well with acute conditions. It's harder for chronic. Because chronic, often there are life issues that have greater impact on chronic conditions than acute medical treatment.
Well, when the formation of the EOCCO, the Eastern Oregon Coordinated Care, came about, and we had the discussion of, at least a starting point for having those services in a campus environment, a hospital, not to go back and talk about that. I like the direction we're going, I guess I would say. And to the physical health providers, I would hope in time they would see a great value in having that expertise that they don't have, but it's right there, for consults, whatever, in proximity. It just will make their job easier as they're able to interact with the mental health side of the health provider.
We're all on the same page.
Yeah.
That is the intent, that is what they voice. It's not easy to integrate.
Yeah.
A lot of the problems that frequently happen in this process, it's one thing to integrate, it's another thing to cohabitate. And for a lot of organizations, now what does cohabitate mean? It means that you have offices in the same location, but you barely talk to each other. May walk by each other's office, but you don't really talk that much. So how do you get beyond cohabitation to real teamwork? That's a change in attitude, change in how you approach things. And that's something we work on. That's something that everybody works on.
Can I go back to the recruitment for a minute? And I'm sure you guys have thought of all the possible things that.
I hope not.
Well,
There's many more.
you know, one of the things that always amazes people when I'm out talking to folks about Lake County, and just, you know, besides the outdoor activities and the friendly environment and so many things to do if you want to be engaged, it does come back to, in some of those discussions, to the scholarship program and the high quality of schools. Our schools, in the most recent release of rankings, have ranked really high in the state for education and opportunity. And, you know, I know a lot of times, you know, we can't pick who it is that might be looking at us, but if those who maybe had a unit that included children and they understood the value long-term of being here to them financially and their educational opportunities, you know, that from that angle, I don't think we have a lot of competition for all of those elements that we have here.
Probably our biggest challenge is one thing to find a job for Canada. It's finding a job for the spouse.
Yeah.
And certainly, you're right. Our school system is exceptional. Our graduation rate is certainly far exceeding the state average. But we have to find jobs for spouses.
Yeah.
And we have to keep finding that constantly. So, but that's a recruitment problem that everybody has. We just have to keep after it.
Well, depending upon the needs, and we can't solve that or even guess as to what those needs might be today, but, you know, with what we believe is gonna be some future business opportunities here with, you know, technical skill abilities and a training institute that's gonna help with that training for potentially those types of folks. Hopefully, we'll be able to have even more job opportunities going
Right.
forward.
The hopeful is what we can all be.
Yep,
On the other hand, we have to keep working at
yep.
it.
So do you have an update on your staffing right now, where you're at compared to when you first took over, Charlie? I know Trace is on, and is she still interim director, have you hired a director, or?
She is interim director.
Okay.
In terms of adding more staff, we have not added enough staff. We keep looking, we keep interviewing. We have an interview tomorrow for another candidate. It's not an easy thing to do, you just have to keep working at it. When we looked at our salary situation, we did increase it a fair amount from what you would think. We did that because we want to be as competitive as we can. We just have to keep after it. We have advertisements in a lot of places. And part of what will help us is a sense of perception among staff that we're moving forward and it's making a positive difference. For the last couple of years, there's been some tumult that we want to get past, and we need to do that. We're making headway on that, but give us time. That's just the nature of it.
Yeah.
So we will keep plugging at it. We made some big changes in our software. We found that, unfortunately, we had not upgraded. And the nature of software is if you don't upgrade, you're behind. You're behind a lot. So we spent a lot of money to retrain everybody how to use the software. Significant. So we've invested close to $75,000 so far in the facility and in getting it back up to speed.
Yeah, the building improvements have been really nice.
You don't see it on the outside, but you certainly see it on the inside.
No.
So the things that we have done, I think I've told you before, but let me just remind you. The building did not have adequate air handling process. It was either hot or cold. one system. We added some, they're called mini splits. So that allows us to adjust the temperature by room. And in a place where you have lots of different people in small rooms, you need to be able to do that. People do much better when temperature is both clients as well as employees, when the temperature is to their liking. Secondly, the building needed to be soundproof. So we have insulated the walls on the inside, as well as added sound deadening into the facility.
Yeah.
We added extra electrical panels. There weren't enough electrical outlets in the rooms. So I could go on, but
No.
the point is,
Well, and what I appreciate about that, and, you know, it doesn't do any good to digress into the past, but what I appreciate is the fact that, Charlie, you had the foresight and the initiative to go get all that done. And those are things that have frustrated us in the past because we've approved getting all those things done. So thank you for doing it on behalf of the employees, on behalf of the clients.
we will continue to do that.
Yes, and it's appreciated.
Another thing that we're gonna have to look at is, it was identified that having children and adults in the same place is a challenge. We've looked at the possibility of a second location, we've looked at the possibility of second entrance. There are things we've gotta resolve, but we have to address that
Yeah.
to allow our clients to feel safe and in a safe environment.
So the lot's plenty big enough to have a foyer between two buildings and have a building out the backside. It's one of my suggestions many years ago that never got followed through on.
But one of the things about building anything is that's easily a 2-year plan. So I look at it as I have a 3-tiered plan: immediate, short-term, and long-term. My immediate need is to fix the situation right now. Short-term, in the next 2-3 years, yeah, we have some options that we're looking at. And then long-term, I'm still looking at what kinds of services ought we be to do. So, but you're right, we have to look at all of those and come up with a plan and do it very quickly.
Did you come up with a very good idea with a separate entrance on that same building?
Well, I think I sent you a copy of the fire marshal report. Finally, we got a fire marshal inspector out to
I
the,
didn't get that copy.
I'll make sure you get it.
Thank you.
We got fire marshal to go out to both facilities, the one in Christmas Valley as well as here. It had been some time since the one in Christmas Valley had been done. There are 2 things you need to do for that building, because it's not our building. Number one was addressed that we have a fire extinguisher that needs to be replaced. That's really in your portion of the building.
A fire extinguisher.
It's out of date.
I got the report.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Second thing is numbering on the building needs to be clearly marked so that should the fire department not know where they're going. I have a hard time understanding, but they need to know what the suites are. So, because it's not our building, you should have it. Jay has that report, so.
Okay.
I've got the report.
Dave's got it too.
Second thing, in terms of a second location, the fire marshal was concerned about the G Street location because while there is a second entrance, it actually goes into a treatment room or a therapy room, so may not work as best as we'd like. So we got to figure out what we're gonna do, and we're thinking about it.
Good. That's great.
Other than that, I think we're marching along.
Well, I'd love to, I don't know if you're through with your update for today, but I just want to
This was fun.
applaud all the work that you've been doing and the staff and everyone, and ask that when the corrective action is done and the reports, the next review happens, we'd love to either be able to listen to the closeout of that, or have you come before us again
Sure.
and report on that, so.
We also have, as part of our Gobi contract, it's a 6-month agreement to do several things, and we're on target with doing all the things that they've asked. All of them were identified during their survey in June. And what they said in their survey in June was, prior to anybody taking, prior to us or Symmetry, the two candidates that were considered, they wanted essentially us to know issues that the surface was facing. And so they listed those out and said, do them within a reasonable time period. And we're on target with all of those. So,
Great.
I think what'll happen with this state report is we'll prepare written reports that will go to them, they'll accept them. I doubt that they'll come back too quickly. They might, maybe when the weather gets better.
Yeah, yeah, they don't like to travel.
That is what, they're not as familiar with it as we.
Yeah.
Anything else I can address?
Nope. No, thanks, Charlie, for
Okay.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much, Charlie.
We have a few minutes before our next timed item, so was an addition, Randy, that will end up being you with the right of way, but that's at 10 o'clock. So we're gonna go ahead with a few other things. It's been pointed out that Dave, in the email you sent out the other day, I think we got a little confused between the Klamath County Commissioners update in January and our update today. But we're gonna be prepared to move ahead. We just probably haven't, this is on the rack proposals. But you probably need a little bit of time on that.
It depends on how much you want. I was just gonna give a brief overview. I think since all three of you have a pretty good handle on Title II SRS funds and the awareness, I was just gonna tell you what the ranking priority was, give you the folders, and then that way you can review it for input in the next month or so, if that's okay.
Would you like to do that? We have a timed item here at 10 o'clock. Will that squeeze you too much?
I can do it in 7 minutes.
Okay, how about 6?
6, okay.
Talking about it.
Deal.
You want me here?
Sure.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
I think Jim here is important because he was here at the, so,
I'll say as you're handing those things out, there's still confusion as to, I know, the county commissioners between Lake and Klamath County, and my involvement as an expired member, but yet now reinstated, and of course the meetings happen during our ISC conference.
absolutely, yeah. I'll try to explain that very quickly in my summary here. Okay, first of all, go through the quick summary and background. So RAC got going back this year. We had the nomination packages back out to the Secretary of Agriculture for starting in March. Didn't really get them back until September. We finally got approval from the Washington office, said, hey, this is gonna be done very quickly, so we sent out the RFPs concurrently with the nomination packages coming back. So the nominations packages came back, everybody's terms were in, including Jim's and your terms. We got a decision memorandum later on for all the counties in the country, because they didn't want to do it specific, that said whoever was approved for a year extension, basically a year and a month, we're doing as a secretary, as the Secretary of Agriculture, they're all approved. So that's how we got the extra year. Kelly Morris was being gracious by stepping in for both committees, but she doesn't need to be on them anymore. Did send that out to her, so it's actually your position for another year. So in the result of what happened with that whole process is that we had packages approved. There was some confusion on a replacement member versus a new member. If a member finishes their term, their 4-year term, they have to be a new member to take their spot. If they're in their term and leave it for some reason, whatever it is, then a replacement member can take their spot. So there's 2 people that are still pending because of that, and that's Betty Riley and Laney Hickey. So we have 13 members that are full-fledged members approved until 2018, so next year, or 2017.
Well, and you need to know, we, as of yesterday, well, as of last week, we're pushing really hard on the reauthorization of secure rural schools, in which case we'll have more Title II monies available. just a quick note, and I didn't ask the undersecretary back, I was in DC last week for a variety of things, the WIPA meeting. But I'm still taken aback that the committee makeup does not include, because as the Fremont Waynemas became North Forest, it's still in 2 counties, and 2 counties are participating on the funds to that.
Right.
It just astonishes me, and I should have asked that question back there last week more fully, but that there aren't, as in the past, 2 county commissioners, one from each county on this, representing the funds that they've made available through Title II.
Right.
So, yeah, we won't belabor it, because we are a little short on time.
Well, and then, you know, going back and forth with, you know, whether it was gonna be Clayton Morris or you in the same position, going back and forth with that, it was interesting about package. But again, the current regime wasn't the one that did the nomination packages.
Right.
So it's just taking over what it went.
Yeah.
But, so the overall is that there was $2.5 million overall, $1.9 million for Klamath County and $600,000 for Lake County. We did achieve quorum on both November 16th and 17th. Really good group, really good expertise, really good mix of people, really good questions. About 4 hours of presentations on the 16th for Lake County and 6 hours of presentations for Klamath County. 95% of all project proponents showed up to explain and discuss their projects. What you have in front of you in the folder is, first you've got the table of contents, which is basically just the ranking priorities from 1 to 17. There was 57 total projects recommended. For Lake County, there was a total of 22. And then for Klamath County, there was 35. And so what happens is there was $4.4 million of requests and only $2.5 million to allocate. So they pared some down and took some projects out. There was 5 that Lake County lost, and there was 5 that Klamath County lost. So it was actually pretty fair across the board. So what you see on your project ranking funding recommendations is 1 through 17 with the requested amount and the recommended allocation that the committee is recommending. Some were pared down, if they were being able to be pared down. Some were kept at full funding because that's what they needed to succeed. And then some weren't given any funding because it was an all or nothing, or the committee didn't feel that it was appropriate with RAC funds, or that the proponent was not using the funds with partner dollars or other things. And so the total came out to a zero amount. They recommended FY 14 and 15 funds, $598,987.88. And so they recommended priority for all of those. So the forest supervisor is asking of the commissioners is to look through, see if there's any questions or provide input to them. We won't be done until obviously mid to end of January, so there's some time.
Sure.
But wants to get that input before the forest supervisor makes those recommendations to the Secretary of Agriculture.
Just a quick question, because I see down in non-funded, and I looked at this in the projects or the requests before the RAC administration. Is that being covered in some other fashion? You guys come up with
We're doing it
dollars?
internally right now. We're still looking for a coordinator to do that for CFLR and RAC, but right now we're just doing it internally. And so then the committee felt that it was reasonable to pay an outside contractor for that. It was about $15,000 that we're gonna pay for an outside contractor. But right now, we're just looking internally to hire. The problem is with the new administration, we're not sure if we're gonna have a federal hiring freeze in January. So we're scrambling right now to get what we can. It's already in the pipeline. So if that comes through, then we might not have anybody.
Okay.
So that's our quandary at this point.
Just looking down through the list here in Lake County, on compliance, noxious weed control, gravel quarry sites, they qualify for RAC dollars. I'm all for noxious weed, but I'm wondering if these quarries are adjacent to federal lands, or if it's just totally on private, surrounded by private, and how does that qualify?
Well, I think it has the potential to affect federal lands. So some can be used on private lands. It has the potential to affect federal lands.
Doesn't federal lands have to be adjoining or that it can cross
So that was
over?
my knowledge, but I can check on that.
I've looked at Jim, he's done it for years, he's shaking his head.
No, because within a rock quarry, you can have weeds transported anywhere where you're doing roads.
I'm supportive of it, I just,
So you know, that's been allowable, as far as my understanding as a RAC committee member, an
Well,
allowable.
the gravel
Well-
goes all over the,
I think, to Commissioner Winter's point, and Jim, you're right on the rock quarries, but in general terms, we always looked at whether it was a rule or not, if it was a forest health restoration, that it had a connected element to the national forest systems as well.
And they give
But
us
rock
a grader
quarries,
again, but,
they're connected just by the sheer nature, they can be anywhere.
right, they give you a partnership.
Same with the log yards, you know, and logging trucks going back and
Yeah.
forth, you know, transporting the seeds, so.
well, there's a very small amount of dollars, but the only question was on compliance that it met the criteria,
And they,
obviously it
they
does.
mentioned they just didn't have enough to do that.
Well, since Jim's here, Dave, just my only real big question, and I always advocated for this, and I know we never got there, and I don't know if there was discussion this time, but was a map of the Fremont Lane and adjoining private lands that showed past RAC-funded projects for connective value on a landscape. Whether it was, you know, an in-stream project that connected to something else that was in-stream. So we didn't have this checkerboarded all over, and we didn't get the true value of a landscape being treated, whether it was in that watershed or in the forest landscape, whatever it was.
Yeah,
So
it was more checkboard for the Lake County, but it was pretty succinct to the watershed and land, so some of that was done and some of it wasn't.
well, did we look at past projects that we had funded?
If one of these projects was part of that phase, or what we're doing, some of the past and doing some of the future, let's look at overall, we don't have a really good history of all of that was done for years and years and years, just the last, say, 5 years.
Yeah, we probably don't do the best job of that, just in the time
Right.
requirements done. I think with the Joint Chief proposal and the other things we're doing on the landscape, and the Warners, we're getting a lot better at that. But that's an area of improvement that we probably need to work on. But
Yeah.
it's always that time requirement too.
Well-
Going through all these proposals in a day, and, you know, 2 days.
And hopefully if we get us a coordinator and we have
We could do that
something
continuity better.
to, you know, close to some guaranteed funding going forward, we can work on getting that, because that really helps in making those assessments.
Yeah, picking up the pieces after the person's gone was really good.
Yeah. Jim?
I'd just like to say too, out of all the years, and I don't know how many years I've been on RAC, but this year, consensus was just, it was smooth. The RAC people on the Lake County projects, it was straightforward. There was no dissent on anything that you see before you, just to let you know.
Good
From a
projects
committee
coming
standpoint.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it was,
it probably was beneficial then that I wasn't there.
The rest of this thing is gone.
Yes.
That was smooth, a very good group, excellent knowledge, input, questions, just, I was very happy.
Well, Dave, honestly, you know, not being there, you always miss things, not just the meeting, but all of the pre-meeting stuff that went on. I mean, I tip my hat to you to take that over, and I know Roland was involved with it, but just reading the emails and the information and how you were going about it and the layout of how the meetings were, it was really well done. So, it turned out well, yeah.
So over the years, we had to approve this as a board of commissioners, is that still?
We're still waiting for the input, and hopefully you guys have a consensus on it, that what you approve, but we want, you had time to review it first before we ask for
Yeah.
consensus.
Yeah, essentially that. Well, it is and it isn't. We mistakenly didn't ever have approval authority, but our recommendations on what was recommended carried weight. So that's what we need to do, is look at these 17 and see if we agree, and let the Forsooth know, let Dave know.
Okay.
Great. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Sorry, Mr.
Thank you.
Ken.
Okay, Randy?
Sorry, Randy.
Good morning, Randy. Well, now, was there someone else that was gonna be here too, Randy, or just you? Just myself? Okay.
I think I wanted to give you two of mine, a map.
Is Darwin gonna be in here for this probably?
I think he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should. More
Thank
information.
you.
This is just a map of the property. What I'm asked the county for. I've never done this, I have no idea what the process is. I'm selling a piece of property up on Dairy Creek, Old Thomas Creek Road, right before you enter the mountains, okay? And this piece of property that's outlined is,
I'm very aware of it.
you know where.
Dan probably doesn't
Okay.
know it, but I've been all over the property.
Okay, you've been all over it, good. Anyway, this parcel that Wimberley's own consists of 18 different tax lots. Through the years, them buying this, they had bought it in several different parcels, and owners before them had bought it in several different parcels and consolidated this into a little ranch. You got a copy of the, I believe you have a copy of the title report, and a couple of these parcels in the title report reflect in 1940, there's two reservations from the county that were
1945 and 1959.
59, asking to be, if it's possible to have those released, okay? And what they are for right-of-ways of roads and highways. These parcels at one time in 1945 and 1959, the best I can understand this, that those parcels were under tax foreclosure at one time, property tax foreclosure, so they definitely had went through a sheriff's sale and so forth. And then they become the counties, and the counties reserve certain rights before they turn around and sell them to the public on a sheriff's deed. Actually, I think reservation line item number 9, actually our company had bought that. No, excuse me, it might be the 1945 one. Anyway, the buyers are requiring the seller to try to see what reservations they can get released, because obviously they don't want easements through the property for right-of-ways and roads and highways and so forth. The folks that are buying it are from out of town, and the reservations do cloud the title. Darwin did explain to me a process for mineral rights that I guess you guys, the county has a process for that. I think it was dealt with
We just done one with Obsidian.
yeah, with the solar folks and so forth. And so is it Darwin that I would reach out to for something in writing, what that process is?
Yes, I believe so. The process that we used puts the burden upon the landowner to have it evaluated for the minerals. And then if there's minerals found on that property, have a geologist come in, I guess, then that report comes to us and we make
A geologist report stating what's on,
what the
or
potential
appears to
is.
be on the property, to see primarily if there's any value to the county.
Yes.
To keep them or release them or
And the
sell
ones
them.
up north, we ended up with one piece that had some diatomaceous earth on it that we reserved that.
You kept it, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
The other ones that came out, but it's a fair cost to the landowner to get that report and everything done.
I see.
So that's a process that we used on those three, I think there's 3 parcels, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's what it's
Up there. So that's on the mineral side of it. On the easement side of it, and I Google Earth this, I looked at it and everything, and I was hoping Darwin would be in here to show exactly where the easements are.
Well, they're blanket.
They're blank.
They're a blanket easement, so there's nothing surveyed as a road. The reservation, I did include the deed, okay, and it's just And it tells you in the title report what parcels it affects. And then you should have a map with, a plat map with stars,
Yeah, got it.
okay?
I'm not gonna say I fully understand all that.
Okay, well.
And if you fully understand it, I'm gonna commend you.
Well, along with the map with the stars,
Okay.
there's a number written on it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so those are the parcel numbers that coincide with the preliminary title report. So on the reservations 8, 9, at the bottom of the reservation, it says affects parcels numbers.
So the ones we have highlighted, 8, 9, those are the ones that you need.
Those are the two
easement.
reservations.
And that's the 10-acre tax lot, 700, I guess, and 800 by the stars. I'm going with those numbers.
Yes, yes. Well, no, those are the, it is very confusing. Those are the parcels that reflect on the title report where it says, line number 8, reservations for right-of-ways and roads to the county. And at the bottom there, it says affects parcels 10, 17, and 18. So when you look at the map, then you look for parcel 10, 17, and 18, which are over on your right-hand side circled.
Okay, so 18 would be the one, Randy, I believe, by looking at Google Earth and everything, where the county road goes right
Yes.
alongside of it.
Right.
And so, look, just going by Google Map, which is just a reference, it shows the property line on the other side of the county road.
No.
Okay, I
No,
just
these
don't-
are all north, the property lines are all north.
Okay, I just want to make sure that our county road easement
Sure.
stays there.
Oh, absolutely.
And
You
that-
can't release that, of course.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure it out as I was reviewing it and doing this.
It's confusing.
That was the one that I seen of concern. The only other, as long as that's protected, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
The only other concern that I myself came forward, is there any easements to other property owners that would be cutting off for through property to the federal land on the other side? And it's hard to figure that all out.
Right, very good question. None of the, according to the title report, the parcels that it affects does not, it might go all the way through the property. I'd have to look to see, because the property owner to the north is now buyers. To the west is National Forest.
Part of it.
Part of it.
And then there's
And then to the east would be
Larry Sachs.
Byers and Larry Saxton.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on the
Is that
west would be
210?
also Lindsay.
Is that 210, parcel 210, that you're talking about to the east?
I'm sorry?
Parcel 210, or on this map, it shows it as 210, is that the one to the east that's Larry Saxon and?
Yes.
That is Larry, yes, that's Larry Saxton's parcel.
Well, where you're only talking about those three, 10, 17, and 18, Randy, I become confused when I look at this map, because outlined is that plus all these others, and then it says in here, out.
There is a 10-acre parcel up there on the side of the mountain.
County, nobody's bought it, that was county foreclosed land.
That, I don't think the county owns that.
It might have sold this there was one last year that's up for foreclosure. So,
I'm not sure who owns that.
Yeah,
I know
but-
Mr. Wimberly has tried to buy it for years.
well, I know that there was one, because I watch all the county land
Uh-huh.
sales, and there was one, apparently, probably sold. If that's the one that's out, that's my total guess by,
Yeah, I have no idea. That one is obviously up on the side of the,
yeah. that's-
side of the mountain.
Was Darwin not available, Denise?
No, and I've tried to get a hold of Karen too, so.
Okay.
Sure is.
So, process to, now then, are you wanting to go for the mineral?
Not at this
Also?
time,
Okay.
no.
So you just want to have the easement,
Well, the right of way for roads and highways.
okay. So,
And I'm not sure what the process is, clueless here.
okay. So, did Darwin not give you any direction of?
Not really, no.
Okay. We'll have to follow up on it. I'm not able to give you that
Oh.
answer without legal counsel
Oh,
sitting
absolutely,
here.
yes.
We'll follow up with the process and get back to you. That clarifies quite a bit on that you're just going for the easement side of it. I
Mhm.
would assume that there's probably will be meeting times where the neighbors be notified and there'd be, I don't think we call them hearings, we call them public meetings, probably that they get a chance to respond
I see.
generally, but I'm not positive on that
Yeah,
process.
I was
Give us a chance.
clueless of the process. It just, I guess this is step one, to bring it to your attention.
Well, tomorrow we'll have legal counsel and we should be able to come up with the true process.
Some type of process
Yeah.
that the sellers can
Yeah. Needs to go through.
go through to start the process
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume time's sort of of the essence for us to get this going if you have a
Well, of
prospective
course,
buyer.
you know,
Yeah.
it's a contingency for the sale.
Sure.
And actually, there's other, in the title report, there's other easements from the Forest Service that are certain parcels up on top, that there were easements for them to build roads, and if they didn't build them within 5 years, by the language in the deed, they went away, but Catherine Callahan's working on those 3, because even though there's a right-of-way or a deed or an easement that has a deadline date, and if there's no performance, you can't assume it goes away. It needs to be removed from the title report, and the only way to do that is some type of release. And so we're working with the Forest Service on 3 of those that are up on the west, those tax lots up on the west, those 10s. There was a proposed road there back in the, oh gosh, I'm
Well,
not sure.
that many tax lots, there's probably all kinds of.
Yeah.
And
It-
maybe one of the challenges, and I don't know the law well, but there's a law that you can't be landlocked. And with that one that's separate ownership back in there, there might be an easement that has to stay to that particular 10 acres. I don't know, Randy, but I think that's a fair guess that with the, you can't be landlocked by Oregon law or something, that there might be something there that we could run into, or you run into, I'm not sure. But we will definitely talk and find out what the
Okay,
process is.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can't answer that off the top of our
That's
head.
right, I knew you wouldn't be able to, you know, without, I'm just, this is, the first phase of understanding how this process works, so.
Okay.
Is this something maybe I should come to tomorrow's meeting, or?
What's in
Tomorrow's
Paisley?
meeting is in Paisley tomorrow.
Okay.
I would recommend that we'll try to, I don't know if Darwin's off for us today or whatever, but most land use and easements would go through his department, find out what process he.
I would think between him and legal counsel, we could get a definitive route forward. He should be able to then contact you, and perhaps we might be able to do something, schedule on our next meetings, our work session, which will be to more formally move this forward.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we've got to get Darwin and legal counsel
Sure.
heavily involved in this to
Sure.
figure it out.
Okay.
This was sent to legal counsel on Friday.
Oh, okay,
as well.
so he's aware of
And
it.
I just sent him a
So-
reminder.
Okay.
If you wanted to come to the meeting and they could drive to Paisley tomorrow, you're more than welcome.
I see.
I don't know.
The
that
businesses there
we-
would appreciate it, because I know you'd stop and have lunch and
Well, of
probably go
course.
shopping at the Paisley Merc and some of the other,
And
there's,
some dollars, yes.
shop.
yeah, there's some new shops there in the community.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Well, I'm gonna go to the coffee shop first thing, correct?
Oh, okay.
We'll see if I make that or not. Thank you.
If we find out between now and then, Randy, that it'd be beneficial for you to be there, we'll let you know.
Okay, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know we have people waiting, but I'm gonna recommend we take a 5-minute or 6-minute, well, let's take an 8-minute break, let's come back in at 8:30. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
It's all right, they've got some things.
And, come back into our meeting at 10:31. And next up, we'll do Dave and Tom on the Airport Connect Oregon, as well as Dave's gonna talk about the courthouse. Gentlemen?
Morning.
Well, as everybody knows, well, I think you guys know, we got approved for our Connect 6 Oregon Department of Transportation Connect Fund program for our airport, for our apron and our beacon light. And we have the agreement here with the state to get it signed by you guys so we can start moving forward on our project.
So, we do have it on the agenda tomorrow for approval, and I got a couple of questions for you that aren't completely related to this, so were either of you gonna be there tomorrow?
I was gonna try to be there, but I have some things at the industrial park that I've gotta meet some people there
Okay.
at 9 in the morning.
I can be there.
Well, I'll go ahead and talk about, since we're talking airports, I didn't know if, since we don't get to have Tom here very often, Dave, and I was wondering if you wanted to do any kind of update, and specifically probably tomorrow, while we're in Paisley, on the Paisley Airport, and where we're at with lights and beacons, and because there are community citizens that are always asking them, questions about it, so it doesn't have anything to do with this, but.
Well, we kinda talked about, I'll brief a little bit on the Paisley Airport. I did some research on that, and like we were gonna do some grant work. We had that grant come open, but we couldn't do a grant because we don't have a master plan of things out there. So that's what we need to work on as far as Paisley. We need to start a master plan of some sort, whatever that is. And Tom and I need to get together and start a master plan on project, because it will help us when grant opportunities come open.
Sure.
We have a master plan of things for the Paisley Airport.
Well, as we move forward with improvements, and I don't really want us to, bypass the normal process here, but since, as I said, Tom's here and you're here, Dave, for like a department update, can we talk about the current condition of the existing facilities as it relates to runway lights and the beacon? And I drive by there occasionally at night, but I get more questions about that than anything. There's just, so I'm kind of jumping down to department updates while you're doing the Airport Connect project,
Sure.
so.
Yeah, so you want one now? Is that what you say?
Well,
Or tomorrow?
I don't want to hold you up.
No, it's no big deal.
Depending upon what you have to say, it might be good to hear that for folks in Paisley to hear that.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Yeah,
Are you okay with that, Commissioner?
If he's available tomorrow, it'd be,
Yeah,
yeah, that's not a problem. I can do that.
okay.
And I possibly can be there too. I'm just waiting on some stuff that's going on at the industrial park to see where I'll
Well,
find
we
out.
may be meeting in a smaller room than the big hall.
No.
So, no?
It's fine.
Oh, okay. Both of them? Okay. Well, then you'll probably get away with sitting together and talking during the meeting, so. Okay.
comment on the Connect Oregon. Can't thank both of you guys enough on Connect Oregon project that has been completed, the continuation on this project, the condition our airport's in today, and how good it is. I don't think the community even has an idea of what you guys combined as a team, you, Tom, as your family and everything out there, what you've done for our airport. It's huge, it's huge, and the continuation in this next grant, your guys' presentation, being able to get it through so that the next part of it that me and others are part of, being able to push right along, you guys have nailed it. And I just thank you guys so much. It's really important to our community, and so, can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
Well, I think what Commissioner Winters just said is very, very appropriate, and boy, it's gonna be neat when all that's done, the entryway and wherever all the planes are parked and taxiing up there, it's just gonna be, and I think you two have a plan to have kind of an open house once that's done. That's really gonna help the community, as Commissioner Winters alluded to, just see how connected all these things are and the great improvements, so.
So give me the rough numbers between the last Connect Oregon, the FFA dollars, this Connect Oregon, and the FAA dollars. What's the total investment into that airport roughly in the last 3 years?
3 years, it's, we're going close to 5.7 million.
5.7 million?
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
So, you're welcome.
I don't think the
Yeah, it's-
public has any idea.
It's exciting. Well, this last weekend, we had a very large, I don't know if anybody saw it, but there was a very large Navy four-engine jet that was coming in and shooting approaches into the new runway, so.
Wow.
I was hoping they were gonna land, but they didn't, but it was some of their reconnaissance aircraft that they've been running back and forth to Boise, so. So they have been shooting the approaches with that, and the F-16s are over every once in a while. So this summer that happened a couple of times too, so they're starting to take notice, even from the military side, that it's here and very functional.
Well,
Yeah, so-
I don't drive planes or fly planes, but I know this project is really should really make it an airport with the runway and the lead up to the fueling and the lounge and the entryway, as we were just talking about, that anybody that flies over is gonna look down there and say, wow, I wanna go there. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
well, I can't imagine that they won't. I mean, it's gonna be, and quite honestly, and I was telling Commissioner Winters yesterday, that it's gonna be one of the cornerstones to economic development. I watched a program, and I won't go into great detail, but on Sunday night on 60 Minutes, it's called The Gold Triangle down in Mississippi, one of the most depressed areas around, and the economic development director down there, he was talking about all the key infrastructure areas, and they actually went out and identified all their key ones so that they could go compete. But the airport was at the top of the list, and it would become that for us as well.
All comes
So I know we're not signing this today, but I don't see any signature pages. Is there gonna be one?
It's on page 12.
Oh, it's in there. Okay.
Yeah, and then right after that's the key milestones, so if you need to reference how that's gonna go, or if you want to, I can run down through those too, so you'll know how it's gonna lay out here for this next project.
Well, to be truthful with you, I think, we could do it today, but I think it'd be a good thing for you to set travel up to, it's a lot further from here to Paisley than it is from Paisley to here. And so making that trip tomorrow, I think it'd be great to really go through this more thoroughly there.
Okay.
I don't know, Commissioner, if you want.
I just trying to think of mileage. You get more mileage going from here to Paisley than from Paisley to here. Did you say it's further from here to Paisley than Paisley?
It takes
I'm
longer.
just thinking if I signed their mileage
No,
tomorrow.
it's a much more hazardous trip. It's just more taxing than to go, I find anyway, to go from here to Paisley, or at least it seems that way, so.
But we don't go through Klamath to get to Paisley. We go right down.
Correct. That's great. So you'll come prepared to talk about the airport in Paisley as well. This will be a main focus, but.
I'll work on getting there as well.
Okay, that'd be great, Dave. Good, we're good. So Dave, you're gonna talk here now for a few minutes about the East Door closure for President. Thanks.
Thanks.
I'll bring you on to some more, we can touch bases on that.
Okay.
That's all in a good few minutes. I'll get some coffee or something. Under Sheriff Hall and I have, I brought you guys here a while back about the east door closure of the courthouse to public and employees for daily operation. Under Sheriff Hall and I, we decided we want to try to move forward with that the first of the year, closing that down to the public and to employees. It'll be just a law enforcement access only. And as that goes forward, then we can evaluate and see what 100%, well, not 100% what we want to do, to see if that will work and make sure it does work, so.
Well, Dave, just sort of cut in here, it's been part of the plan all along. It's a safety issue as far as, we have our intoxilizer room there. We have inmates going back and forth to the jail that's been incarcerated and everything. This is a safety issue that now, since we're able to have the remodel, it's time to make it happen. The interaction between public employees and all with, whenever somebody's being taken into the sheriff's office or the jail, it just makes perfect sense. I'm with you 100%. First of the year is fine with me, and I won't speak for the other commissioner, but I'm assuming the same.
So I'm gonna move forward, I'm gonna get with the media or whatever you wanna call it, Jimmy, and put it out there to the public that as of a certain day, that will be closed. And then also, I wanna send an email out to the employees.
All
letting them
employees.
know, all employees, that as of such and such day, and I guess I can meet with you guys on the exact day before it comes out. I haven't set an exact time, but.
Just make it the first working day of January. Might as well just do it.
Okay.
It's time.
Yeah, and you know, I know there's been a little bit of discussion, anytime there's a change, particularly in how we interact in our building here, people will have this or this, thoughts on it, but the only people that will be not accessing that door that will come through the general courthouse are people that do anyway, if they have any business. It's not like they're in jail or about to be in jail or any of those things, so we're just gonna have to not worry about that, because this is, as Commissioner Winters said, this is the right thing to do. And I always try to look at it, and we wouldn't design the courthouse in here in 2016 the way it was back in the 50s. But the reality is if we had the opportunity to start over and we were going to do that way, this is exactly what we do. We wouldn't have public access, we wouldn't have employee access, we'd do just what we're doing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one of the easiest ways to put it in perspective is the Sally Port, we call it, is there where every law enforcement agency brings somebody that's coming and going from our jail.
Yep.
And you generally would not put public or employees in that same area, and that's, it's just what it is.
And we are gonna lock the door, it will be locked.
It's still accessible by pushing the button if after hours, if an employee needs to get in or somebody else, and it's all regulated
They
through
won't
the jail.
have access with the card, very few that have access, they won't have access.
Right. I'm good with it.
Okay, I'll get that, and then I'll let you guys update.
We'll blame it all on you,
Oh,
dude.
yeah, I know.
Blame it all on, you can blame it on Dan Sham.
You blame it on the new guy, Kevin's here.
That's the new guy.
Yeah, big shoulders, Dave. So Denise will go before we do the LOPTA, and we'll do the Veterans Affairs Transportation.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
This is a continuation of the VA grant we did last September for an additional $45,000 for this year. Most of those services are being done through the senior center with the use of our special transportation vehicles. So it's just a continuation of that program. Charlie is actually the one, he's done a great job of getting this grant and being able to keep this grant, so it's a great benefit to our veterans.
So, and it really is, so tomorrow when we approve this, who will actually sign it?
I believe the board signed it before, but I will double check that.
Yeah,
Charlie's name.
Just got a requester's
I'm
signature.
pretty sure it was us, but let me double check
Okay,
it.
okay.
Okay.
Very good. So, our next item is the Board of Property Tax Appeals appointments, and our clerk has made a recommendation to the board, and she is recommending the appointment of the following to the Board of Property Tax Appeals: Ken Kestner, Chris Wade, and Deanna Walls. And this is one that I'd like to take care of today. I'd like to make a motion that we approve that recommendation as presented.
I'll second your motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the recommendation made by our county clerk, Stacy Ganey, of Ken Kestner, Chris Wade, and Deanna Walls for this upcoming year on the Board of Property Tax Appeals. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, our next item is the pilot agreement confirmation entitlement benefit / the BC solar ratification.
Okay, do you want me to give a little?
Yeah.
Short
Yeah,
overview?
give us
Okay, so this was a little bit of confusion that occurred on process. This was signed previously by Commissioner Kestner, it just needed to be approved by you gentlemen. All it does is confirm a name change for the Black Cat Solar Project.
So, I thought, Denise, that there was some discussion with legal counsel and with Darwin, or Dave, one or the other, and we're not ratifying this one that was signed, that there was clarification made, and there was a different one to sign. Am I right on that?
There was a different one to sign, which is the one that we're ratifying, because
It's not this one here.
it is that one there, as
It
far
is
as
that
I
one.
know. Let me double check it with Dave, but I'm sure that that is the one.
That is the one, okay.
Mhm.
I just looked at the date, November 2nd. I thought there was
Yeah.
one redone after that date.
Let me double check it.
Would you please?
Yeah.
Make sure we're ratifying the correct one.
Sure.
Yeah. And we'll take action on that tomorrow.
The only other thing I have in my packet, Commissioner Sham, you had asked a while back for me to give a dollar figure for the biennium for grant monies being received for our transit program. And so publicly, we wanted to note that we have, for this current biennium, locked in $494,858 for our transit program, and that is not including the 45 for the veterans
For the
side.
veterans.
That's
Wow.
just straight, special transportation and $5310. And ladder of opportunity for gains.
So
So,
Denise, once again, thank you.
you bet.
Boy, it's fabulous.
Yeah, when I came
It's-
up with that number, I had to double check it a couple times.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding. That's,
So off the top of your head, do you know how many vehicles is in that number?
How many rides we have given?
No,
Oh,
vehicles.
Vehicles?
Who's able to purchase new vehicles?
Oh, this biennium, we have been able to purchase 4 new vehicles,
That's,
so,
wow.
yeah.
and we're getting quite a few, they're getting used quite a bit. and everything,
They are,
so
we will
that's-
also, this biennium, build a bus barn to store 2 of our vehicles in Norfolk, so, pretty
So,
exciting.
As
Since we went
Commissioner
from
Shum
80.
says, thank you.
Yeah, since we went from 80,000 a year
Oh, yeah,
to this, it's been,
fun, it's a program,
mhm.
and it's phenomenal,
So anyway,
and we're in good standing, and it's
Yeah,
everything's great.
outstanding.
Yeah, a huge part of that. So Denise, did you have any other, we're gonna go down to department updates this time.
I don't think so, we're just chugging along, so.
And Kevin's still with us, did you have anything else, Kevin, you wanted to? The snow plowing's going good?
Snow plow is going good, although I wish it would either snow or not,
Yeah. Okay,
because we have other things we'd like to do, so.
I looked at the landfill road this morning coming in, and I thought, man, I'll bet you they wished it was either just completely clear or there was a foot of snow that they could plow.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't wanna go out and burn off the blades just for nuisance snow, but we don't
No.
want it to freeze on there either.
Yep,
It's
I'll
kind
tell
of
you
old.
though, when you rechace it like we do, and the sun comes out a little bit, we're cleared off,
Yeah,
and the state and county's not,
yeah,
so.
yep,
It's that, like you say, Joe,
yep.
so Commissioner Winters, under liaison updates, is there anything you'd like to update us on today?
no, I'm good.
Okay, I am gonna try and speed us along, but I think it would be really remiss if, you know, I spent a number of days back in Washington DC last week, and I'll say for today, Jimmy might wanna do a story at some point in time, you never know, but it was a very, very, in my opinion, productive week. The primary reason for going, as you know, and Denise knows, was for the Wildland Fire Leadership Council meeting. I'm on that committee and have been for a number of years, and we were doing what we were hoping was a transition meeting with the new administration. And I won't go into the details on the meeting itself, but it was a good meeting. We're gonna lose some really good folks during this transition, but they were very upbeat about the future. But while I was there, since it is a long ways to DC, I spent a great deal of time on the Hill, a couple of days. Had an individual meeting with the chief of the Forest Service, Chief Tidwell, but met with all of our congressional folks and staff and talked about everything under the sun, from the withdrawal issue on our public lands, from our BLM public lands as it relates to the mining for protection of sage grouse, to talk, even though they're not in our counties, talked about the monument proposals that are out here in southern Oregon, both on the west side as well as here on the east side. Talked pretty extensively about secure rural schools and Hill, talked about public land management, talked about the biomass, where we're at with that, and the utilization aspects, and that's where the chief came in really a great deal in his support of that. Just lots and lots of things, and lots of positive feedback on where we're headed, and as I mentioned to Commissioner Winters, one of the things I think we pride ourselves in here, because it's not just one commissioner, it's the board, it's the county, it's more of a can-do approach. We don't go back there, I know I specifically don't go back there to present to them problems and say, take care of it. We talk in terms of ideas we have to solve things that are critical for the needs of not only Lake County, but for Oregon, and in a lot of cases, a lot of these issues face the western United States, and we come with ideas on solutions and a willingness to help. If you know, you throw all those spitwads against the wall, you find out which ones stick, and that's what I was so excited about. Was the whole atmosphere was of some positive things starting to unfold that really do affect us out here. And the thought that as this next transitional period goes along, that there's going to be a lot of work put into these long-standing issues that have faced Lake County and many counties throughout the West, and specifically in Oregon. So that's the shortest version I can give of a jam-packed number of days back there, but it was very, I think, very positive.
Well, I don't know exactly the right way to articulate it, but damn, your time in DC comes back to the county so many different ways, and your relationships you've built, like with the chief, where you get individual time, that all comes back to our forest health, it comes back to our operations here in Lake County, pushing for the pilot, pushing for forest health, for fire resilient forest, and on and on. Thank you for your knowledge and experience, appreciate it. It's money well spent whenever you go back. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I will say, just on that vein, I did update Jim Walls, who's been very involved in a lot of these issues from LCRI, which we support. through our economic development and just in general, as well as the stewardship group, the Lakeview Stewardship Group. And this project that's going on, it follows in the line with what we worked on with the WIFLIT Committee, the Wildland Fire Leadership, the cohesive strategy, this North Warners project, which we haven't had a presentation yet, and I need to ask Amy and Jim to do that. There's a small group that's been working on it and a bunch of affected landowners that are partnering. But with that said, we have to compete for that, and the regional forester here in Oregon and Washington Region 6 recommended us as number 2, and typically they only fund one project. They fund a limited number of projects across the nation. I don't remember how many they said. It seems like they had 50-some applications, and they were gonna fund like 8 projects. And then there was gonna be 2 additional ones or something like that. But the long story short on that was, I did take the opportunity. I didn't abuse the relationship with the chief, but as I told Amy, we were sitting in the WIFLIT meeting. It was right after lunch. It was kind of warm in the room, and I didn't see the chief nodding, but it was close. And we have a 1-page briefing paper on that project, and it's got multiple private landowners as well as the forest and other entities. Great restoration, forest restoration on a vast landscape that really spells it out. He's the deciding official. There's a committee that will make the recommendations. So I sent it to him, and he read it during, and I didn't say a word to him. So hopefully that will resonate for us too. So
That's called being a politician.
yeah, I guess that's good. Okay, well, Denise, we don't have anything else that I didn't cover or we didn't
We
address?
got it all.
Okay, well then, we will adjourn our work session of December 6th at